For thousands of years, humanity has been tormented by love's greatest mystery, that aching void in your soul that whispers, "Is this all there is?" You've felt it. The crushing disappointment when connections fade. The hollow ache of relationships that promised eternity but dissolved into dust. In a world where love feels disposable, where bonds shatter as quickly as they form, you're left wondering, does unbreakable, timeless love even exist? What if I told you the answer has been hidden in plain sight, waiting in the revolutionary teachings of legendary psychologist Carl Jung? Jung cracked love's code, revealing it's not a fleeting emotion, but an ancient power flowing through your very being. A primordial energy sculpting your destiny, forging soul-deep connections that defy time, distance, and human weakness. Today, I'm about to reveal Jung's explosive truth, how genuine love creates an unshakable bond that never dies, not through separation, years, or even death itself. This isn't philosophy. This is your spiritual lifeline, and if you're ready to experience love that outlasts lifetimes, stay right here. But first, do us both a huge favor. If you're even 1% curious about unlocking eternal connection, smash that subscribe button right now. Seriously, thousands are watching this but aren't subscribed. Don't miss what comes next. Life-altering secrets from Jung that could heal your soul. Hit like so YouTube shares this sacred knowledge, and comment below where you're watching. From Brazil, India, Canada? Let's prove Jung's wisdom transcends borders. Now, let's dive into why authentic love is an immortal force. Jung proved when love erupts from the deepest core of who you are, two souls achieve perfect synchronization. This isn't about physical closeness. It's an inner harmony so profound, nothing, not miles, years, or even the grave, can sever that bond. What unites you isn't circumstance. It's a resonance written into your very essence. According to Jung, love is a manifestation of the collective unconscious. That is, it is not just an individual experience, but a universal energy that connects us with something greater than ourselves. For this reason, when we experience genuine love, we feel we have found a part of our soul that seemed lost, as if we were completing a puzzle that had been waiting for centuries to fit together. This phenomenon is not the fruit of chance, but what Jung called the union of opposites, the meeting of two complementary forces that attract and balance each other on a deep and inexplicable level. Have you ever felt that someone appeared in your life at the precise moment, as if destiny had conspired for that meeting to happen? This is one of the most powerful expressions of authentic love, synchronization. Jung spoke of synchronicity as those events that seem like mere coincidences, but are actually signs that something deeper is happening in our psyche. When two souls are destined to unite, the universe finds a way to bring them together, regardless of distance or obstacles between them. However, a key question arises here. If genuine love creates an unbreakable bond, why do so many relationships fail? Why do we feel we lose people who once meant everything to us? Jung explains that the main reason is that many relationships are not based on true love, but on unconscious projections. In other words, we do not truly fall in love with the other person, but with the image we create of them. We see in the other what we want to see, not what they truly are. The process of individuation, an essential concept in Jungian psychology, helps us understand why some relationships seem destined to fade while others endure. Individuation is the path toward the wholeness of being, a journey of integrating all our facets, including those we have repressed or denied. When a relationship is authentic, both people act as mirrors, reflecting both light and shadow, mutually challenging each other to grow and evolve. This type of love does not fade because its basis is not dependence, but mutual expansion. However, for this connection to endure, it is necessary to overcome a crucial challenge: the shadow. Jung taught us that the shadow represents everything we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves, those repressed aspects we hide out of fear of rejection or disapproval. And here lies the conflict. When we do not confront our own shadow, we inevitably project it onto the person we love. For this reason, many Relationships that initially seem ideal end up mired in conflicts, reproaches, and suffering. It is not that love has disappeared, but that each individual's shadow has emerged, demanding to be seen and understood. True love is not only a source of joy, but also a powerful engine of transformation. Its purpose is not to keep us in a comfort zone, but to propel us toward our deepest growth. That is why souls that are truly connected do not meet solely for love, but because they have fundamental lessons to teach each other. They are bonds that awaken the most hidden parts of our unconscious, forcing us to see beyond our illusions and confront our most authentic truth. When two souls are truly united, neither distance nor physical separation can break their bond. Jung spoke of an essential principle in the human psyche. What is in harmony with our being does not disappear, but evolves. This means that even if a relationship seems to have concluded on the material plane, its imprint on our unconscious remains present. For this reason, there are people who, though no longer part of our daily lives, continue to inhabit our thoughts, our dreams, and our emotions. Their energy exists because they left an indelible mark on our essence. If you have ever felt that a connection was too strong to fade, if you have perceived someone's presence even in their absence, it is because that bond did not exist only on the surface, but in the deepest part of your psyche. These are the relationships Jung would define as archetypal connections, those that reach the deepest layers of our being and transform us in ways we often cannot even fully comprehend. However, here is the key. Authentic love is not synonymous with possession. Many people believe that because of the intensity of a connection, they must cling to it at all costs. But Jung teaches us that real love does not imprison, it gives freedom. It does not cling out of fear, but trusts that what is genuine will always find a way to remain. When we try to hold on to someone out of need or fear of loss, we are actually acting from our unresolved wounds, from that internal shadow that fears abandonment. True love, the kind that never fades, is the one that allows us to grow without constraints. It does not seek to complete us, because it recognizes that we are already whole beings. It does not attempt to fill voids, but to share from the abundance of who we are. For this reason, relationships truly destined to endure are not founded on dependence, but on interdependence. Two complete beings who choose to walk together not because they need each other, but because they recognize each other. And it is here that we find the final answer. When love is genuine, two souls never lose their connection because that bond is not conditioned by external factors, but is sustained in the deepest truth of each one. It does not matter how many years pass or how many paths cross along the journey, because what is real at the soul level transcends any barrier of the material world. The question you must ask yourself is not whether true love exists, but whether you are willing to confront yourself to live it fully. Authentic love is not just a gift, it is also a commitment. It requires courage, honesty, and the willingness to look within yourself, beyond your fears and beyond the illusions you have built. It is in the deepest part of your being where the answer has always been. If genuine love is a connection that transcends time and distance, why do so many people feel they have lost someone they loved intensely? The answer lies in the difference between true love and unconscious attachment. Jung taught us that many of our relationships are not guided by real love, but by hidden psychological patterns emerging from the unconscious. This means that often, what we believe is love is actually a repetition of unhealed wounds, an unconscious attempt to fill emotional voids we carry from childhood. The problem is that when attachment disguises itself as love, it generates suffering. It makes us feel we need another person to feel complete. It traps us in the fear of loss and pushes us to control, demand, and condition the relationship according to our own lacks. But genuine love does not work that way. According to Jung, real love arises when two people have walked the path of individuation, when they have embraced their shadows and learned to be at peace with themselves. Only then can they experience a bond based not on dependence, but on shared growth. Here arises a fundamental truth. You cannot love another person authentically if you have not first known yourself. Most relationships are marked by projections. That is, by the unconscious tendency to attribute to the other ideas that are actually part of our own psyche. Jung explained that in many cases when we fall in love, we are not seeing the person as they truly are, but through the filter of our own experiences, desires, and wounds. This can create the illusion of a deep connection when in reality we are only seeing what we want to see. That is why many relationships begin with intense fascination but crumble over time. The initial idealization fades, and suddenly we see the other with greater clarity. It is at this point that many people feel they have lost the connection with someone who once seemed to be everything. But in reality, what has dissolved is not love, but the illusion. And this is valuable because in that moment arises the opportunity to build a real bond based on truth, not on projections. Authentic love is not blind. It does not idealize or place the other on a pedestal. It recognizes imperfections and accepts them because it understands that true connection does not consist of finding someone perfect, but of finding someone with whom you can grow and evolve. Jung explained that when a relationship is genuine, both people become catalysts for mutual growth. They do not stagnate in comfort, but challenge each other to face their shadows and evolve. Here is where many make a mistake. They believe conflict in a relationship is a sign that love has disappeared. But Jung shows us that conflict is actually an essential part of the individuation process. It is in confrontation that those aspects of ourselves we have not yet integrated come to light. In genuine love, disagreements are not barriers but opportunities to deepen the connection, to better understand the other, and above all, to make ourselves better. That is why real love is not a fairy tale. It does not consist of avoiding pain, but of being willing to go through it together. It is not about ignoring the shadow, but integrating it into the relationship. When this happens, the connection strengthens until it becomes unbreakable. Two souls that have gone through this process cannot be lost, because their union is not cemented in need, but in the mutual recognition of who they truly are. However, this leads us to another crucial point. Authentic love does not always imply remaining together physically. Sometimes, the best way to honor a true connection is to allow oneself to grow separately. Jung reminded us that real love never imprisons, it liberates. If two people are destined to meet, the universe will always find a way to reunite them at the precise moment. And if that does not happen, then the lesson they were meant to learn together has already been completed. That is why many people feel that certain loves never completely disappear, even when circumstances separate them. Though years may pass without seeing each other, the connection remains intact in the deepest part of the unconscious. This happens because the impact of genuine love does not fade. It transforms. That person's presence may continue to manifest in dreams, synchronicities, or moments of introspection, not as a burden, but as proof that that relationship left an indelible mark on the psyche. This leads us to an even deeper truth. At the soul level, there is never loss, only evolution. Jung taught us that life is not about clinging, but about learning. Every person who enters our path does so for a reason, and every relationship, no matter how long it lasts, leaves us a teaching that prepares us for what comes next. From this perspective, authentic love is never lost because what truly matters is not physical permanence, but the internal transformation that connection has generated in us. So if you have ever felt you lost someone with whom you shared a deep bond, ask yourself, have you truly lost them? Or has that relationship simply fulfilled its purpose? Because when love is genuine, its impact endures, even if its external form changes. The real question is not whether that connection still exists, but what you have learned from it and how it has transformed your way of loving. Authentic love is not a story with a predictable happy ending, but a journey of self-discovery, integration, and growth. And when two souls are truly aligned, their bond does not depend on time or space. What unites them is not possession or dependence, but the mutual recognition of having shared something greater than themselves. A love measured not by its permanence, but by the transformation it leaves in each one. And here lies the great teaching. In life, everything changes, everything transforms, but genuine love, that born from the deepest part of being, never disappears. It may adopt new forms, express itself in unexpected ways, but it never extinguishes, because when two souls have vibrated at the same frequency, that energy is not lost. It simply becomes part of the universe, an eternal chapter within the greater story of our lives. What truly matters is not whether the person with whom you shared that connection is still present in your daily life, but what you have done with that experience. How has it changed you? What part of you awakened thanks to that love? Because at the end of the path, true love is not just about finding someone, but about finding yourself through that connection. Authentic love is not a final destination, but a process of continuous transformation. And when you understand this, you realize you have never truly lost anything. You have only grown, and that ultimately is what truly matters. Genuine love is, in essence, a process of evolution. It is an alchemical fire that molds us, that forces us to face our shadows, and that inevitably propels us toward a higher version of ourselves. Love does not consist of finding someone who makes us feel complete, but of discovering, through the relationship, those parts of ourselves we have not yet recognized. Jung taught us that true love has a purpose that goes beyond pleasure or companionship. It is a catalyst for inner awakening. When two souls are deeply connected, love ceases to be just a passing emotion and becomes a bridge towards self-knowledge. It reveals aspects of our psyche that would otherwise remain hidden. That is why the most intense connections are often also the most challenging, because they confront us with what we do not want to see and push us to evolve. Here lies a great paradox. Although authentic love awakens us to our deepest essence, it also forces us to accept an undeniable truth. We cannot possess anyone. We cannot cling to a love hoping it will remain unchanged, because its nature is change, movement, and transformation. Trying to hold on to someone out of fear or need goes against the very essence of love. Jung would tell us that genuine love does not cling, does not control, does not subjugate. It is free, expansive, and conscious. Here is where many people suffer because they confuse love with attachment. Attachment says, "I need you to be happy." Authentic love, in contrast, says, "I love you because I recognize in you something that is also part of me. But I understand we are two individual beings with our own paths." And in this difference lies the key to understanding why some relationships seem to fade, while others endure across time and distance. When a relationship is based on true love, it does not need constant validations or absolute certainties. It does not cling to permanence in desperation, because it knows the connection does not depend on physical closeness, but on something much deeper. Two souls that have vibrated together in harmony never lose their bond, because their union is not something that can be broken by external circumstances. What truly matters is not whether they continue together in this life, but whether they have transformed each other in a way that lasts forever. And this leads us to an even deeper truth. Genuine love does not need a conventional happy ending, because its purpose is not to fit into an idealized story, but to provoke an awakening. There are loves that come to stay for a lifetime, and there are loves that appear to teach us something fundamental and then follow their path. But in both cases, their impact is eternal. That is why Jung invites us to see love from a higher perspective, not as a goal to achieve, but as a process of soul expansion. When we understand this, we cease to fear loss and cease to see the end of a relationship as a failure. Because when a love has been real, it never disappears. It becomes part of our essence, part of our story, part of who we are. If you have ever felt you lost someone with whom you shared a deep connection, stop focusing on their absence and start asking yourself, how did that love transform me? What parts of me awakened thanks to that connection? In what ways do I still feel its impact in my life? Because the truth is that when love is authentic, it never leaves, never breaks, never disappears. It only changes form. And here resides the great teaching Jung left us. Love is not something we must seek outside, but something we discover within ourselves. Because when we learn to look at ourselves with the same depth with which we have loved others, we understand that the most authentic connection The one that never fades is the one we have with our own essence. True love, that which unites two souls beyond time and circumstances, does not seek to possess but to understand. It does not attempt to control but to liberate. It does not cling to fill a void but reflects the best of each person. And when you experience this kind of love, you know with certainty that it can never be lost, because what has been real in the soul is eternal. Perhaps now you see with greater clarity that love does not go out when a relationship comes to an end. Perhaps you understand that what you lived was not a loss, but a transformation. And perhaps, just perhaps, this is the truth you needed to hear. If this message resonated with you, if at some point you felt there was something in these words that spoke directly to your heart, I want to invite you to do something important. The wisdom you just received is not only for you, it is a profound knowledge that can change the lives of many people who have not yet discovered these truths about love, connection, and the evolution of the soul. This is your moment of power, your invitation to become an agent of eternal transformation. Right now, you hold sacred knowledge that could liberate someone drowning in heartbreak or lost in spiritual darkness. Share this revelation with one person whose soul is crying out for Carl Jung's explosive truth about undying love. Because when you pass on this wisdom, you don't just change a life. You ignite a chain reaction of healing across the collective unconscious. Now I need you to do something crucial for your journey. If these truths shattered your illusions about love, smash that like button right now. Let's show YouTube this soul-altering wisdom must spread. Then take 3 seconds to subscribe and hit the bell. Thousands are watching this very moment but haven't joined our inner circle. Don't gamble with your awakening. The next video will expose Jung's forbidden secrets about shadow work that could detonate your spiritual evolution. Finally, and this is non-negotiable, comment the word eternal below. Tell me where you're watching from and how Jung's revelation rewired your soul today. Your words become sacred text in our global sanctuary, proof that when authentic souls unite across continents, no force can break that bond. Remember, genuine love never dies, truth never sleeps, and you, yes, you holding this knowledge, are now a torchbearer in humanity's greatest spiritual revolution. The path continues in our next encounter. Until then, walk in the unbreakable light of your essence,